turn the lights off, carry the Stanley Cup home. Colorado Avalanche with a fantastic 2-1 victory. Game 6, Tampa, everything against them when everything was for them in Game 5 in Colorado. They just couldn't do it on home ice, and then they went and did it on someone else's ice. It still means all the same, and it means the Stanley Cup is coming back to Denver. A fantastic game. Avalanche with a shut down defense when it mattered most in the third period. And this is just the moment that so many Avalanche fans have been waiting for 21 years.
Yeah.
And this is the moment, and it feels incredible. So Kyle and I will discuss everything. We have the entire season to get to, and specifically the postseason and this Stanley Cup final. We did it. The Avs did it. Celebrate. Love it. Let's talk about it.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is now the Locked On Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche podcast, because the Avalanche just did it. Unbelievable. What a game, what a series, what a team. And you and I talk a lot. Where does this team rank? I think as the days and weeks and months start coming, a lot of people are going to look back and want to slot this team in somewhere for greatest franchise or the best team in franchise history. I mean, I know emotions are running high right now, but they are up there. They have to be up there with everything that they have accomplished this year. Kyle and I are going to get to it. It's just synapses are firing right now, man. It's just, you haven't felt this. You haven't felt this in 21 years. Feels amazing. So
I haven't cried like this in 21 years.
No, man. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like Seinfeld when he's crying. He's like, what is this salty discharge? First things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, excitement. There's no concerns. What?
Oh,
forget that. To lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow the show on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified whenever a new show goes live. This is good. This is just going to feel good for a long time. And the thing is, like, the feeling that you have right now won't be matched. It maybe ever be, and I say that with Tampa Bay in mind, because Tampa, when you're going for your third, yeah, it still feels great. Don't get me wrong. Like, winning that trophy, the greatest trophy in sports, it's the hardest thing to do. And you love seeing your team win championships. But the first one, let's say the Avalanche win back to back, and then they're going for 3 in a row. You're not going to have the feeling when you're going for 3 in a row that you have at number 1. And you and I were both around, alive and well, when they won both of them, the 96 and 2001. And you do, like, we even talked about this, like, you forget those feelings. You forget, in being a Broncos fan, you've had that feeling a couple times a few years ago. But for the Avalanche, and this being our number 1 sport, it just, and everything that they've gone through, you're almost speechless. I just said a lot of words, and I say I'm almost speechless, but it's true.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's going to be hard to write another narrative like this. Like, for a team to win those 2 cups 21 years ago, and then the peaks and valleys, like the super team they almost had in 2004, and then the almost run with Duchesne in the 2010s, and the Wild, and then you had the terrible season, and then the rebound, and then with this rebound, you're falling in love with, like, you're really appreciating Nathan McKinnon and Gabe Landeskog, and then this new guy, Cale Makar, and then you fall in love with, like, your LOCs and your Berkeys and your Bo Byrams and your Kadris, and then not only does this team put it together, they defeat the back-to-back, going for 3 easily. Like, any talking head says, this is a 3-peat team in their barn.
Yeah.
You can't write a script like this. This is just a legendary, monumental storybook ending to a team that we've all fallen in love with. We know every member on this roster. You could like you can make a case for Cogliano, every member on this team we all love, and the Avalanche finally did it.
Well, the narrative changes now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Everything changes because as Avalanche fans, we're watching the coverage of this, and all the credit is being given to Tampa, and we're getting frustrated at that because it's like, well, we had a fantastic season, but you have to think about accomplishments. And
Mhm.
the Avalanche hadn't accomplished anything it's in terms of a championship, clearly. Because you
Mhm.
have individual awards here and there and something, the President's Trophy last year, but they haven't accomplished this. So now you're going up against the team that has accomplished it 2 times over. And until you 100% unseat them, they're going to get a lot of the benefit of the doubt and assumptions that the series is going to go back to Colorado. And like I said, hey, we can be frustrated at that, but they're kind of right. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Until you fully beat the champion, whether it's just one time repeating or 2 times repeating, you have to beat them. And now that the Avalanche have done that, I think it's every year after you go into a next season, it's gonna be a different team. But
Yeah.
you have the core there. You know what I mean? You're gonna have those depth players come in, come out, and interchange. But that doesn't matter because now you are tagged as the Stanley Cup champion. And that will follow you around at least for the duration of next year. And
Mhm.
if let's just say the Avalanche are not like they're not that they'd be I think we're pretty confident, comfortable that they should be a playoff team next
Yeah.
year. But let's just say they're not playing their best going into the postseason. The narrative for the Avalanche now will be what it was for Tampa,
Mhm.
like because they have the pedigree now, and they have that chip. So everything changes for today, for the good, for the better. And now this team now even believes even more
Yeah.
that it can win. And that is just something that you can carry around for you for the rest of their careers, that they won this thing and they know how to do it. For those depth guys that maybe go on to a different team, they'll have that. If you're a bottom 6 guy and you go to a different team that's now playing for a Stanley Cup champion, like, oh, he won a championship with the Colorado Avalanche. He's been there before.
Mhm.
So this is everything that we have built up for so long, and there's so many things along the way, and it just started with the Jared Bednar era. That
Yeah.
couldn't have started any worse, and it just methodically got better. Joe Sakic just seems to make all of the right moves whenever he makes a move, save for the Carl Soderberg thing. But other than that, like he has a great team in place, and by team, I don't mean just the guys on the ice.
Yeah.
I mean behind the bench, in the offices. Um, it's just a great franchise, a great fan, or a great. It's great to be a fan of this franchise right now because this you just have to expect that this is just going to continue.
Yeah, this is what separates you from having that kind of swagger that everybody talks about. Well, Vegas is a rough team, Toronto's a rough team. Like this could be their year, and then you don't hear about them anymore when the playoffs start. And this is also why you always hear about St. Louis. They had that one miraculous year, and when they hit the playoffs, it's always point back to 2019. You see what they did in 2019, they could still do it.
Right.
This is how you're going to be viewed now. You're going to be, well, you saw what they did in 2022, if you can hear about it in 23, 24, 25, they're going to point back to 22 because of how you did it in 22. So this is what puts the Avalanche from the team we know they can be. Now they got to prove it year in, year out. And now they got the target on their back. And
Sure.
teams are going to start building to be like Colorado instead of Colorado building to beat the king on the throne.
Yeah. And all of the questions are just washed away. Like all
Mhm.
of those, like you are not going to hear anymore. Avalanche can't get out of the second round.
Yep.
Avalanche can't win the Stanley Cup. Like there's nothing. It's a reset
Yep.
for the people that are coming after the Avalanche for they can't do fill in the blank. They've done it. They beat a good goalie in the final. You know what I mean? I think they beat good goalies in the first, second, and third rounds as well. But for those people, that were coming out with let's see what the Avs can do against a good goalie, they beat them. So it's just everything that you want. Like this is what comes with a championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for a mid-market team like the Avalanche, they're not an original six team. They don't play in New York. They don't play in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Like, but the community there that follows this team is so passionate. And for this day and age when sports are just followed more than ever before, to get a championship in these times, people take notice of that, and I for this most of these postseason, I'm always wearing like Avalanche gear somewhere. I'm going like pumping gas, and
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
giving me the thumbs up or something like that, and it's infectious. It's infectious, and this team isn't built just to be a one-off. You know what I mean? This wasn't just let's just load up on talent, win a championship, and then we've succeeded doing that, and then we'll figure out next year. Joe Sakic has set this team up, and there's still work to do with signing guys for next year and things like that, and they're going to get to work on that stuff, and we will discuss all that stuff in the off season. But for right now, everything that he set out to accomplish, talking about Joe Sakic and bringing in the right guys, especially with Coach Bednar, not firing him after one season, understanding what he went through in that first season. You just singing this praises for everybody. It's an awesome feeling right now.
And it's funny you mentioned that about pumping gas and always wearing your Avs stuff. I have noticed, because I've been wearing my Avs stuff out in public a lot. And it used to be when somebody sees that Avs logo, it's, oh, you like hockey? No, it's now like, oh, I love what the Avalanche are doing. Like, people are not just recognizing the Avalanche logo. They're like, I love watching that team on television. And
Yeah.
like, you're getting, like, you are now setting the bar. And for everything they went through, like the Bednar, like it's the Bednar era of Avalanche hockey. And it's like, now that we've won it, what are we going to do to build on it? Because it's one thing to
Yeah.
get there. Let's see how long we could stay there. Because
I
you
mean,
have to believe in the core a little bit. Like, I feel like we could be the new Tampa.
you could be. I mean, it's so difficult to do. And this just shows you how difficult it is to do. But
Find a way.
yeah, I mean, I'm not there thinking about like next year already. I'm gonna let this marinate for a long time. But you look at guys like, and we had guests. Obviously, Gabriel Landeskog is the captain. Who's he gonna pass it off to first? And I said Erik Johnson. I think you were in agreement with that, or I don't know if you said he'd hand it off to Nate. I don't remember, but we both were kind of, I believe that we were both in agreement that it was Erik Johnson, and it was. And when the clock struck 0, got emotional.
Yeah.
No problem admitting that. And then like there was a second wave when they showed Erik Johnson's face when they're all celebrating. He's got two guys like headlocked. I don't know who they were, and his face is just red, and he's got tears coming down, and he's like, "This is unbelievable." I think, is there anybody else on the team other than? I mean, would he be the one that you're like, this is who I'm most happy that has won this?
Nas.
He's another one for everything that he's been through in his life.
Yep.
Especially his hockey career, what he went through with the St. Louis stuff. And then, breaking the thumb and having surgery on that, to questions if he's even going to play in the Stanley Cup final. And then he did and made an impact. He's another one.
That was the guy. I know, being the Nas stan, but like him lifting the cup, that was my third waterworks. Like I'm drinking liquids to replenish myself. I have poured so much out of my face during this celebration, but seeing him win it, and I was surprised to see Cogliano so early in the cup passing around. Like
when they did that,
it was like 4 or 5. I was like, "What are you doing, bud?"
Wasn't he? I thought
he was before Nathan McKinnon.
Johnson. He was right after Johnson.
Yeah,
I think he was the third one, and so they went Landeskog, Johnson, Cogliano, and I'm like, okay, they're getting veterans. So I honestly thought Jack Johnson was going to be next, but it was McKinnon. I'm like, you can't put Nathan McKinnon down too far.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I love seeing Burakovsky out there.
Brian Murray, here you go, bud.
Yeah, right. Burakovsky, full uniform. Sam Girard, full uniform. I think Sammy Girard even had the shoulder pads and everything. Like he was in full
he was
getup.
ready. He's good to go.
Yeah. And then like I said, Burakovsky out there, but I kind of forgot about Cale Makar. Cale Makar was like 10th to get it.
Justus Annunen was out there.
Annunen was out there. When they went to Cale Makar, I was kind of a little bit annoyed because that's when they started interviewing Gabe Landeskog and they cut away.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, that's my gripe with ESPN. But you could just go through the rock. Even Gabe Landeskog, right off the bat. Like he's been through so much with this team, and then to come back as a free agent, and for this reason.
And whoever gave Abe Kubel the cup.
I missed that. I think I was moving my daughter to her bed. She fell asleep on the couch. I don't know how I didn't wake her up, but I must have done it. I'll probably look that up. But that's not the only time that thing's going to get dented. Like,
no,
it's going to go through a rough time in the next few months. So, all right. I mean, we got a game to discuss. We'll talk about that. We have a sound check to get to, a very special sound check. I think everybody could figure this one out, but we still got to get to it. But first, betonline.net. It's your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. And it's already out, man. Like I got a notification. The Avalanche are the favorite for next year. Are we surprised?
No.
I love how they come out with this stuff already. Like when knowing full well, when like
they're waiting for the game to be over, they're like, send it.
Yeah, it's like you know that there's going to be moves made and free agents moving all over the place. Hey, but the Avalanche are already the favorite. Find all the latest sport developments, league reviews, news, including this year's NHL playoffs, which are now over. So you head over to Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sport wagering information, including live betting and esports. It remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline.net, where the game starts. And yeah, I mean, for Colorado sports, like this could be a good. I mean, you had the Nuggets. The Nuggets are good. I don't watch a ton of NBA, but I know that they're good, and they have the back-to-back MVP. You have the Broncos, who people are just really excited about. Clearly, with Russell Wilson. You'd like to see the Rockies do some things to get going, but the
Mammoth are the lacrosse champions.
They won the Denver University won the Frozen Four.
That's right.
So you have a lot of good things happening in Colorado sports right now. It's
Title Town.
Yeah, it is hockey town right now. As far as this game goes, it was like again another come from behind victory for the Avs. They gave up that first goal, and I got to give a lot of credit to Darcy Kemper, not because he faced a lot of shots, at least in the end. 23 shots faced, but he gave up that early one, and I don't put the blame on him for that. That was a bad turnover by Cale Makar. And it's one of those where it's like, okay, it went in, but you would have liked to see him stop it.
Yeah.
And then from then on, I thought he played a good game. I thought he played a decent game. I mean, you hold the team to one goal. Yeah, he played a good game.
And this was something I mentioned in the Locked On Avalanche Twitter Spaces. By the way, to everyone who joined us all year in those Twitter Spaces, you guys, words cannot describe. Love you guys.
Yeah.
But when that goal was scored, I mentioned that Tampa did exactly what they wanted to do, and Colorado is doing exactly what they wanted to do. Like Tampa wanted to go out there early, make an impact, and like kind of get the home crowd behind them. But you could see there was no struggle. There was no frustration. Like Colorado was outpacing Tampa Bay. And that became very apparent towards the second, the third period. Like they knew exactly what they were doing. And you could see like the offensive zone time, Tampa was dominating in that first period. And then slowly it started to shift.
Yeah.
That second period. And then that third period. Like I never felt like, oh boy, here we go. This is going 7 after that first one. Or here comes Frankie. Let's open the door. Here he comes. Like Hulk Hogan was there. So go ahead and play the music. Bring
Yeah.
him out there. But no, I never felt like this was one of those that Colorado wasn't. They were in trouble or behind, or Darcy was bad, because you saw him start to get more confident, and there was no issues there. And you know what? It helps when you don't let them shoot the puck.
It does help, yeah. But I thought this was a game where like momentum was constantly going back and forth in
Mhm.
this game. And in the second, I thought the wheels came off a little bit for Tampa. Not
Yes,
just because they lost the lead. I don't know if that's what caused them to
they
react.
lost this.
They did. What was going on in those 3 inches between the ears went bye-bye to them.
Mhm.
And that hurt them. And you know, you have to give them a little bit of credit because it didn't carry over into the third. Oddly enough, like third periods in this series were the best periods, you know, and
Yep.
it was refs were kind of letting things go. They were letting them play. And how Tampa was in that second period was so un-Tampa like, if
I
you ask
know.
me. They were complaining about everything. I mean, they could trip over the blue line and then want a penalty on it.
Almost
Uh,
like they're coached that way.
oh my god! And I like Cooper. I like Cooper, but this kind of shows you when you're down, your true colors. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't want to say like I lost like some respect for Tampa, but for that period I did anyway.
Yeah.
They were gooning it up a little bit, and the Avs weren't just sitting there and taking it. They were giving it back to them. Yeah, there were some penalties that weren't called on both sides. But every time, well, both times the Avalanche scored a goal, Tampa's wanting to stop play and like complain about it. But you did see Cooper do a bench interview at like a few minutes after, and he kind of said like, you know, let's move on. They scored. It's 1-1. Let's move on. So I like that stuff. Like I don't like the bench interviews, but I like it for that purpose
Yeah.
because for the rest of the game, I would have just been saying like, what's he going to complain about next?
Yeah.
And I still could use that excuse if I wanted to. But anyway, like it was for the most part a back and forth game, and you saw teams tilting the ice and they would be in control, and then the other team would take it back and they would be in control. You follow the game flow on NHL.com, and you could see that. You could see it was just like hourglass shaped, depending on who your team is, because they would get possession and then lose possession. And it
Mhm.
was just it was a fun game to watch. And I didn't think those 2 goals in the second were going to be enough. I really thought the Avs need clearly at least one more. You want one more to be comfortable. You want a nice 2-goal lead going into the third. But I thought, you know, we got to hang on to this. But the defense in the third period for the Colorado Avalanche was a thing of beauty. And if we could make artwork out of a third period and hang it in the Louvre, it would be that.
Yep.
Incredible lockdown defense while still playing offense. They
Yeah.
didn't sacrifice the offense. It was great.
And like to your point about you never felt confident about that 2-1, when we scored that second goal and more Tampa players were throwing their arms up complaining than like Avalanche players giving off a celly. Like when you watch that replay back, the 4 Tampa players in the zone all throw their hands up and are looking for a ref like to complain. And at that moment, I was saying, this is where the Avs need to pile on because the Tampa's not playing their game.
Their
Like,
attention's diverted, right?
yeah, it's like keep piling on because this is as weak as you're going to get them before they go into the intermission, and then they kind of like get tightened up and get back out there. But then I was shocked to see that defensive performance in the third period. It was locked down, 4 shots in the
Mm,
entire third period. Like that was absolutely stellar and textbook on how you want to shut down a team that really has their back against the wall for 20 minutes. They're about to lose everything.
yeah. And you just four shots on goal for Tampa in the third, like you said, all of them in the second half of the period.
Hmm.
Their first shot on goal came right around 10 minutes from the neutral zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and even when they pulled Vasilevsky, I don't think they got a shot on net.
No.
They couldn't get anything going. And that's just a testament to the Avs and game planning and knowing exactly what they wanted to do. And it worked to a T. It's a great game. And again, they gave up the first goal. And even against a guy like Vasilevsky, I'm not sitting there saying like this game's over.
Yeah.
That's what you hear? I mean, he's a big game goalie. and he does, he shuts down a lot in elimination games. But the Avs are a different team. They're not going to back down, and it took them a little while to get going, but you could see it. How many times in the series did the Avs just get better as the game went on and get legs as the game went on? And it seemed like Tampa got tired.
Yeah.
And I'm not using altitude nonsense. That's crap.
I will. It affects everything.
But it did, like, the Avs just got stronger, which is kind of surprising at this stage in the season. You think you're in the best condition, but it was a bruising game. A lot of guys got hurt along the way. Cogliano, Makar even got banged up a couple times.
Gabe took one off the knee in the final minute and a half.
Nichushkin was just hurt going into the game, not even sure if he was going to play, which is a big deal for him because he's your best forechecker. And if I remember reading something that was about like something with a hip or something. Hips are important.
That's what I heard.
Especially
when they give you
especially with skating strides and forechecking and stuff like that. But he seemed okay. What did he have? Wow. He played 22.50
on one working hip.
No slowing down. And, we talk a lot about time on ice. This was all over the place for the Avs. Jared Bednar was playing his horses in this one, and he wasn't going to, he wasn't going to question any of that. You had Alex Newhook only played 8:12. Nico Sturm only played 5:43. Jack Johnson played 8:56. Darren Helm played 9:56. JT Comfort played 8:54. Like, that's a lot of single-digit time on ice. And when you look at your big guys, like I said, Val Nichushkin 22.50, McKinnon 22.29, Landeskog 21.58, Rantanen 21.02. On the defense, Byram 25.48, Taves 25.56, Cale Makar 24.21. Like, you won this game with your guns, which, and the Avs had many games throughout these playoffs where they relied on their depth. But I just don't think Jared Bednar was taking chances.
No. And we talked about the tempo all throughout the game. Like, that's with the third and fourth line basically sitting on some single digits, and you're riding the poster guys. Like, it wasn't like a constant refresh and get back out there. Like, you were riding the same guys the whole game. And then it was just a constant. It's what you love to see, and this is what you want in moments like this when the cup's on the line and they're opening the case. This is what you want to see.
I saw that and I'm like, oh man, like,
yeah,
it's not over yet. Like, I get it, you have to take it out, but killed me. And then you had Nathan McKinnon. Everybody's always going to be on him, and he got a goal and an assist. So I thought he played well. Like, it's going to be tough against a team like Tampa. It is going to be tough to try to create. Tampa's defense makes you work. And that's one thing that you'll never say about Nathan McKinnon is he's not working hard. He's working hard, but you have to give Tampa some credit for kind of locking him down. But, eventually he's going to get a look. And he had one, and it was on that delayed penalty. All right, let's get to our sound check. And for anybody just tuning in, we do a LOPN sound check. And these are songs that we pull from Spotify that we feel best summarize all of the action. We put these songs over on a set list or playlist over on Spotify. Just search for LOPN sound check, follow it. And we will do them in the off season, clearly with we normally do them for games. But when big moments come, like with draft picks or free agent signings, we'll do one. We did one for Cale Makar when he won the Norris. So we'll do some creative ones over in the off season. But for now, this is the Stanley Cup edition, which has to be more than just today. I think we'll do this. I said we'd do this. I think when they went into the Stanley Cup, I'm like, maybe we'll do it every day leading up to the Stanley Cup game 1, but we didn't. But I think for winning the Stanley Cup, we have to drag it out for a couple days. Don't you think?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, you have to. Because for this one, usually Kyle and I pick one song each. And that's not going to happen today. Because there's one song that pretty much everybody in Avalanche land gets behind. And that's always played around the 5 or 6 minute mark when the Avalanche have a win. It's been synonymous with home games at Ball Arena. And that is Blink-182's All the Small Things. So that is both of our sound check for today. We couldn't go any other route. You have to pick this one.
We've done a whole season of sound checks, and that's the one we haven't put on there. Come on, everybody. It was coming.
So, I mean, and it's like we're waiting for it for this moment.
Yep.
Which is not guaranteed.
Nope.
So if it didn't happen, we just put it in our pocket till next year. But that's what it is. We have to do that at least for now. Tomorrow's episode, we'll do another one.
Yeah.
With kind of like our individual picks. But for right now, this is more of a sound check for like everybody. This is for Avalanche Nation. And it's All the Small Things from Blink-182. Go follow the set list. And are we gonna continue it, or are we gonna do like volume 2 and start a new one for next year?
I like volume 2.
Maybe I'll put a Twitter poll up and see what people want. They want to just continue it, because right now it's like 9 or 10 hours long.
It's every time I'm in the car, I'm playing it. It is
great.
awesome.
It's great. So go follow that LOP and Soundcheck over on Spotify. Conn Smythe goes to Cale Makar. Really, I mean, I think everybody kind of saw that. I think Val Nichushkin was maybe nipping at his heels a little bit early. They maybe put a little bit more weight on the Stanley Cup final if you just go crazy, which Nichushkin had a really good Cup final.
Yeah,
if you were giving an MVP for just the Cup final, I think you'd maybe give it to Nichushkin.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
So I don't think anybody's really surprised that Cale Makar won the Conn Smythe. But yeah, dude. I mean, this is gonna feel good. Like I said, like we're gonna wake up in the morning and the Colorado Avalanche will be Stanley Cup champions, man. And I just remember I watched every single game of that 16-17 season. As bad as it was, I didn't tap out. I didn't say like, this team is just going to lose again, even though you knew that they were. I sat and watched every single game of that season, because that's when like you pick up on things in bad seasons. You pick up on guys who are really putting in the effort, and even though you know it's probably going to end in a loss. And to follow it up the very next year, getting into the postseason, which is one of my favorite moments in Avalanche history, with the empty netter from Gabriel Landeskog on game 82, and they just all piled on top of each other. I didn't even care what they did in the postseason, just to have that turnaround after one season. And then they just make their way to the pinnacle of your sport. What else can you say about this team right now, man? It's a beautiful thing.
One of my greatest memories as a child was that 2001 Cup. Adjusting the rabbit ears on my TV, putting aluminum foil on the end, just so I could get it on my CRT TV late at night to watch the end of that series, and how awesome that game felt. And then fast forward 2022, I'm sitting here doing a Twitter space, watching it on TV. I have a second screen watching the ice pass, and I've got all those feelings again. I think a little bit more now that you understand the ins and outs of an 82 game season, the players, what they had to go through, what this team has had to go through. This is something I think I will remember for the rest of my life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you had, the Unrivaled show that
I
aired
watched
earlier in the day.
I watched it, timed it out 10 minutes before puck drop.
Yeah.
Unrivaled end for me. So
so you had that air, it premiered, and then that just gets you going. And then they win it on the day that airs. We didn't get the home ice, championship, winning it on home ice and toting it around Ball Arena, but we will get the images of the Avalanche coming off the airplane with it, which is always nice.
And the parade is June the 30th for everyone around the area. June 30th will be the championship parade.
And if you're going to that, just behave yourself, please.
Yeah, come on.
I know I'm like speaking into the ether here, but this is a happy time. We don't need to destroy things. we're still going to be on cloud 9 for this. So Kyle and I will be back tomorrow and continuing this and just we'll probably I don't know we'll come up with I'm sure there's like sound bites and things like that we can put up and but I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight, man. Like it's tough to sleep when your team loses a game, especially in the cup final, and you get the nerves going. But when your team wins a championship, like enjoy this.
Yeah.
We've been saying it all along. Enjoy getting through the first round. Enjoy getting through the second round. Enjoy the sweep of Edmonton. Enjoy just being in the cup final. And now that they've won this thing, like I don't think any Avalanche fans are taking this for granted because they know it's been 21 years in between championships. And we've been saying it for how long? Like this is never guaranteed, never. And I want to thank Adam Denker. Maybe we can do a crossover with him in a day or two to kind of look back on the series when everything has calmed down a little bit. But I Adam and I are close friends, so it was just fun to that our teams were in the cup final. But we are now only the second team to have won a cup championship while Locked On has had hockey podcasts. The first two were won by Mr. Adam Denker, and we own the third one. So gotta love it.
That's good company right there.
Yeah, man, we're in good company with Mr. Denker. So all right, Avalanche fans, sleep well if you can sleep at all. And Kyle and I will be back tomorrow and just keep the smiles going all day long, dude. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Obviously, that is always appreciated. Follow us on our social media channels, especially on YouTube. Subscribe. I'm looking forward to YouTube comments tomorrow, dude. Your work's cut out for you tomorrow. You're going to be on there.
Let's go.
Congratulations, Avalanche. It's been a joy to cover this team for this season and follow this team. And it's a joy to do this on Locked On and a joy to do it with my good friend, Shaggy Von Doom. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. He's Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. As I should say it over. It's the Locked On Stanley Cup champion Avalanche podcast. It's a thing of beauty. We'll see you guys tomorrow.